So. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Gettysburg College. We're inside the wrestling room here, inside the Jaeger Center for Athletics, Recreation, and Fitness, and we are previewing the NCAA Division Wrestling Championships with wrestling head coach Andy Vogel. And I'm going to let this guy introduce himself because I don't think a single person this entire year has pronounced his last name right, except for myself, of course. So, Paul, how do we pronounce that last name?
Triandafilou.
Did everyone get that at home? It's really not as difficult. I think it just like all the letters in there, I think people see that. They get a little intimidated. So for everybody at home, I always say Triandafilou. Triandafilou? Philo. Triandafilou. So even I've been saying it wrong for 2 years. But hey, we've got that out on the table now. So, well, guys, the NCAA Division III championships are right around the corner. These guys are headed to Wisconsin on Thursday, correct? Flying out?
Tomorrow.
So Wednesday. And then the action starts on Friday in noon Eastern time, 11 Central time. So we have some questions for these guys right here as we talk about the championships. We're going to start with Paul. Obviously, we got the name thing out of the way, so we'll go right to the second one. You're heading back to the NCAA Division III championships. You went as a freshman last year to Iowa, placed 5th overall. How excited are you to be headed back to the national championships? And have you ever been to Wisconsin before?
I've never been to Wisconsin. I'm really excited to go back. It's kind of like a reward for all the work you put in over the season and kind of in the off season while your friends are kind of hanging out or going on ski trips. So I'm real excited about it.
Now, of course, you're a two-sport athlete here at Gettysburg College. You were on the football team during the fall. You, I think, appeared in all 10 games as well at nose tackle. But that also meant you missed the first couple weeks of wrestling season too. These guys get started in early October, so Paul was still out there tackling the blocks and the opposing running backs and whoever else he needed to tackle. So I want to talk a little bit about that transition from football to wrestling. What were some of the biggest obstacles you faced in getting ready for the wrestling season coming off of football?
Really just the biggest obstacle is kind of getting back in shape because it's a completely different sport, obviously, and you got to get your lungs ready and your heart rate kind of up because, I mean, you got to get prepared for the matches that go into overtime because it's completely different than just a regular football game where you get to get rests and breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah, those 40-second play clocks. You don't have those in wrestling, do you?
No.
So, Andy, switching to you now. Paul has been working toward this goal all season since he got back with the team in mid-November. You know, what's impressed you most about his commitment this season?
Well, I think last year he had the chance to get a taste of some success at the national tournament, and anytime you do that but maybe don't end up on the top of the podium, there's some motivation there to come back and do even better the next year. So I think that's been kind of the thing we've been talking about all season is, you know, get back here where we are, get the chance to get back out there at the tournament, but then get higher on the podium than you were last year. And I can't think of a better motivation than that.
As I said, Paul finished 5th last year in the heavyweight division, the highest placement ever by a bullet heavyweight at nationals. So, you know, I talked to Quinn and Noah a few weeks ago at conferences, and they talked about how wrestling, you know, it's an individual sport out there on the mat. It's just you, mano-a-mano with another guy. But there's a lot to say about the team element of the sport as well. Obviously, you have the dual matches where the team points add up. You have tournaments where your team points add up too for the standings. And then you have everybody lined up at the edge of the mat cheering you on. As a heavyweight, of course, they're all done with their matches and they're cheering for you too. So in these last couple weeks as you've been getting ready for nationals, how supportive have your teammates been, and what have they been contributing to your training?
My teammates are a huge part of my experience on and off the mat. I mean, a lot of people think if you're kind of an outsider of the wrestling community, you think it is kind of like a selfish sport and it's just you out there. But all the stuff that we do in here, when I have Cam and Puka pushing me to my limits and all my guys kind of like chirping at me here and there, it just means a lot. I mean, you can't just go out there and say that you won this match all by yourself, or, you know, I'm going to nationals by myself. Like, these guys are driving up on Thursday with Coach Gino just to come and support me and make sure I can get warmed up. So my teammates are the most important thing to me.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun road trip for them. I've advised them to send me some pictures, too, from their seats, so hopefully they do that. Andy, of course, you were a national qualifier, former All-American at Messiah College. What advice have you given Paul in regard to handling the national event schedule and being prepared for every opponent he faces?
Yeah, well, I think I had a little more to offer in that respect last year when it was his first time. But this year we were actually just talking about how it's pretty much the same schedule every year. The same setup, just a different arena. So he's pretty well prepared, to get out there and to have that experience and do a great job to win as many matches as possible. I mean, we talk about, one match at a time. It's, it sounds like a cliche, but it is an important thing to not look ahead too far, but to understand that at this level, everybody's good. So you've got to be, on your best A game every time you walk out there. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I can offer anybody walking into a tournament like this.
Of course, last year, Paul, you got some really big wins over some nationally ranked guys. You took your hits, too. You did get beat, once, right? Twice on the way to that fifth place finish. So what did you learn from last year's event that you hope to apply to this year's?
Kind of going off Coach's point, like everybody there is really, really good. And you can't go out there scared, but at the same time, you kind of have to wrestle smart. Like one of the matches I lost, I kind of decided to go out there and try something new, and I ended up getting put on my back. So it's just kind of like going there with the stuff that you've practiced a million times, and don't go in there with any fear either. So.
And that was the only pin loss of your career as well. So not going to do that new move, huh? So, Andy, just, talking about, Paul was talking about what he did last year at Nationals. What are some of the strengths that should help Paul this weekend of, his wrestling skill set?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that he's impossible to score on and doesn't give up a lot of points. And one of the things my coach used to say is if no one can take you down and no one can hold you down and you can ride someone for 30 seconds, you'll never get beat. And I think Paul is an embodiment of that. As much as anybody I've ever seen. I think he's been taken down one time this year in however many matches he's wrestled. So I feel like every time he walks it on the mat, we've got a great chance to win.
Paul is 27-2 this year going into the national tournament. Nice segue, nice setup there for me. So we've established this. The national qualifiers are the best in the country. You've got the top-ranked guys out there. Roseberry from Del Valley, who you've seen recently, Evans, Longendike, Merchant Marines, Ragozo, the best of the best. All big guys. They've all got their wins and their championships on their resumes as well. So what's it mean to you personally to be among that group?
It's an honor, and like kind of going back to my starting point, like it kind of like shows that the work that I put in is kind of paying off. So it's nice.
So this is the last set of questions for both of you, kind of the same one here. So, Andy, we'll speak to you. What are your expectations for Paul going into his second NCAA event?
I think my number one expectation is that I know that every time he walks it on the mat, we're going to get his best effort, and that's really all I can ask as a coach. I mean, my job is to put these guys, everybody on our team, in a position where they can have the most success possible, where they can enjoy the sport, enjoy being part of a team. We give them the tools. We make sure they're at the right gym, at the right place, at the right time. But then they go out on the mat, and it's really, winning for themselves and winning for the team. And, so I expect we'll get 100% of his best effort. And if we get that, I know Paul's a good wrestler and has proven that time and time again. So, we want to be wrestling on Saturday. That's the first goal. And after that, it's to get to the top of the podium.
Paul, same question for you basically. What are your goals this weekend heading into your second NCAA appearance?
It's kind of exactly what Coach said. I want to bring home some hardware for the team, and I want to finish my tournament at the top of the podium.
I got one sneak question in here for you, because I heard you rocking out to some 90s hip-hop jams the other day in the locker room. Do you have your playlist set up for this weekend?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Can you reveal any of your top choices, or it's a secret?
A little Erica Badu. I'll give you that.
Well, there you go. Hopefully Erica Badu can help this guy move up that podium and claim All-America honors once again. So for Paul Triandafilou, good. I'm getting there. He's here for 2 more years after this, so maybe I'll get it by his senior year. And Andy Vogel, I'm Corey Jewett. Thanks for tuning in. You can watch an archive video or archive copy of this video on Facebook later today. Thanks a lot. Bye.